Hey, welcome to another session of Tuesday Night Beer School. I'm your host, Chad Z Beer Reviews. See right there. So the only true Rauch beer is a Marzen that's been smoked. Comments: literally smoke beer in German. The smoke character intensity varies by maltster and brewery, so allow for variation in the style when judging. Not all examples are highly smoked. Many other traditional German styles are smoked. Those should be entered into the 32A classic style smoked beer style. This style is only for the more common Marzen-based beer. History: a historical specialty in the city of Bamberg in the Franconian region of Bavaria in Germany. I did not... while smoked beers certainly were made long ago, the origins of this specific style are unclear, but must have been developed after Marzen was created. Characteristic ingredients: Marzen type grist with the addition of a sizable quantity of German Rauch malts, beechwood-smoked Vienna type malt. Some breweries smoke their own malt, German lager yeast, traditional German or Czech hops. Style comparison: like a Marzen, but with a balanced sweet, smoky aroma and flavor and a somewhat darker color. All right, so let's look at the vitals real quick. IBUs 20 to 30 is actually pretty high, although a lot of the balance is going to come from the smoke. SRM 12 to 22, fairly dark. That's like your red chestnutty type colors, darker than amber, approaching the reddish chestnut light brown area. Should not be black like a stout or something like that. ABV 4.8 to 6B Rauch beer. Overall impression: a beechwood smoked malty amber German lager. The expected Marzen profile of toasty-rich malt, restrained bitterness, clean fermentation, and relatively dry finish is enhanced by a noticeable to intense smoke character. We're doing this beer. This is a pretty common beer. I don't know if it's in all 50 states or what. I mean, I saw this when I lived in Albany. I saw it when I lived in Virginia. I live in Florida now. I'm going to pour this right in front of the camera so you guys can get an idea of the color. So you can see it's kind of like an amber, dark amber to like light brown, like a golden brown color coming out of the bottle and in the glass. I mean, like right there, it looks black, maybe very dark brown. And a lovely, lovely foamy head, which is interesting because if this is a Marzen, there should not be wheat in it. And like wheat would generally produce, big, foamy, frothy head like that. But I mean, super compact type bubbles. So we'll come back to that. As you know, when you're judging beer, you always go by aroma first. So let's give it a whiff. Yeah, very quite smoky. Yeah, smells like a campfire. A little bacony, and I mean, like it has like the smell of bacon. It doesn't smell greasy. It doesn't smell literally like meat. It smells like if you make bacon for breakfast and you come back to your kitchen like an hour later, like that kind of smell. Just lovely, beechwood smoked. I'm really trying to pick out the base brew here. It's kind of hard to pick, individual ingredients and hops and all that stuff. I will say it does seem, kind of malty. I would not say it's like chocolatey or like sweet smelling. Just a little bready. I can't really pick out any distinct hops. I mean, if it's German beer and it's to style, I'm sure they're using noble hops. So, maybe like a faint, the noble hop. Once you know that, if you know, you know. Am I okay? I was losing internet there for a second. All right, let's see what the specs say for aroma. Blend of smoke and malt varying in balance in intensity. The beechwood smoked character can range from subtle to fairly strong. Yeah, I would say this one's fairly strong and can seem smoky, woody, or bacon-like. Okay, yeah. The malt character can be low to moderate and be somewhat rich, toasty, or malty-sweet. Yeah. So they say somewhat. It's kind of a catch-all word there. The malt and smoke components are often inversely proportional, i.e. when smoke increases, malt decreases, and vice versa. True. Low floral or spicy hop aroma optional. Clean fermentation profile. All right, for aroma, I mean, this is right on there. I mean, is there any reason not to give it a 12? I mean, to me, it's right on there. I almost never, like, straight off the rip for aroma and flavor. I almost never go the full score. So I'm gonna start with a 10, but I would have no qualms about coming back to give it 11 or 12. Appearance, well, let's see what the specs say for that. All right, so we already saw the appearance. Very clear with a large, creamy, rich tan to cream colored head, deep amber to coppery brown in color, often a little darker than the underlying marzen style. Yeah, that's true. I mean, marzen is usually like a nice ruby red, and this is a lovely mahogany or chestnut brown. You know, it's a little, it's hard to tell if it's clear because it's so dark, but I mean, it looks pretty clear to me. Actually, and if I hold it up to the light right here, now it's a lovely, lovely ruby red. Sorry, you guys can't. Actually, maybe I can. Maybe if let's try the flashlight here. Oh yeah, there you go. This is that lovely ruby red color I'm seeing if I hold it up to the desk lamp right here, but on camera it just looks black. It is not black. All right, so full 3 out of 3 on appearance. I will give a full 3 out of 3 on appearance right off the rip. All right, so let's dive in here. As they would say in Germany, Prost. Or, well, actually you can't see it because it's, you know, only I'm in focus, but that cheers sign behind me has cheers from around the world. But I think it tastes better. It tastes better than it smells. So the first thing I noticed, obviously right away, was that beechwood smoked malt. Just a lovely, lovely smoke flavor without the, you know, acridness. And it does have kind of like a bacony kind of flavor, but like no grease, obviously. Sorry, I'm petting Leo, so he shuts up. I actually get, as I said with the aroma, like that base marzen style is obviously going to create for, like, you know, quite a elegant, as the BJCP often calls it, elegant malt character. You know, quite bready. I would not call it like rich, like a, you know, a doppelbock. Like that's straight up like rich bread. This is like just bread. I even get like a little bit of like a chocolatey note in here, maybe like a kind of like a dark chocolate. I don't think I would call it like roasty or coffee though. There is, it is, you know, somewhat sweet. I would not call it. It's not cloying. It's not like, you know, some 10% pastry fat or something like that. Remember, this is just a marzen that has smoked malt added to it. And by the way, this is, I forgot to mention this, it's only, I don't know if you guys can see this, 5.1 ABV. So it is not a super strong beer. Usually when you have like that low, quote unquote, low of a ABV, you know, just, you know, the ABV tends to be in proportion to the amount of malt used. You want a big 10% ABV beer, you got to use tons and tons of malt. You want something lighter, less malt, but you're just not going to get the intensity or the complexity of those bigger beers. But one of my favorite joys of beer is when so-called lighter beers have the intense flavor, the robustness, and just can be just as delicious as a big, you know, 10% barley wine or something. Yeah, so as you drink, I noticed this with a Rauch beer, any smoke beer really, you get the smoke right off the rip on that first sip there. And as you drink more and more, the smoke starts to become a background flavor, and you just really pick up on the base brew. So, I mean, again, this is essentially an Oktoberfest that has smoked malt in it, and that's the way I would describe it. I mean, if you've had a real authentic German Marzen. And a lot of the American ones are pretty close to it. And then you just add smoked malt to it. That's what you get with this style. By the way, I just topped this off. Foam, lovely foam on here. And like there is kind of like an essence of like chocolate. But it is not finishing sweet. I mean, I would say it definitely finishes more on the dry end. It's not bone dry, but yeah, it's really far from being cloying or anything like that. So let's see what the specs say for flavor. Generally follows the aroma profile with a blend of smoke and malt in varying balance and intensity, yet always mutually supportive. Marzen-like qualities should be evident, particularly malty, toasty richness, but the beechwood smoke flavor can be low to high. The palate can be somewhat malty, rich and sweet, yet the finish tends to be medium dry to dry, exactly what I just said, with the smoke character sometimes enhancing the dryness of the finish. The aftertaste can reflect both malt richness and smoke flavors, with a balanced presentation desirable. Moderate balanced hop bitterness can have up to a moderate hop flavor with spicy floral or herbal notes. Clean lager fermentation character. Oh, this is a long description. The quality and character of the smoke is important. It should be cleanly smoky. Should be clean smoky or cleanly smoked. At higher levels, the smoke can take on a ham or bacon-like character, which is acceptable as long as it doesn't veer into the greasy range. Harsh, bitter, burnt, acrid, charred, rubbery, sulfury, or creosote, I don't know what that is, smoky phenolic flavors are inappropriate. Yeah, I agree. Phenols, smoky phenols, pretty gross. It's not something that's supposed to be there. Sometimes you get smoke on a beer that is not supposed to be smoky. That's phenolic, which means your yeast. It's basically you had sick yeast. Yeah, I forgot to comment on the hops. Yeah, they're quite subtle in this style, which is fine. It's just adding a little bit of a noble hop spicy sensation. So it just goes right there. It's just harmonizing with the smoke. And it's not a German Pilsner, which I love. If you want like huge, ballsy, in your face, noble hop flavor, have a German Pilsner. Maybe we'll get to that next week or whenever we get to it. But so the intensity of the hops is fairly low. Bitterness is enough to be supportive, but again, a lovely. Sorry, I keep using the word lovely. Pretty delectable. Bready malt base with the smoke. That's not super sweet, not bone dry. So how are we going to score this one? I think it's right on there. I would go pretty high. I think 17 is appropriate at least. All right, so let's get back to our last component, which is the mouthfeel. How would I describe how this feels? Medium body, medium, maybe medium low carbonation. Real smooth, real soft, real comfortable. And nothing like that aftertaste counts as far as mouthfeel, but I will say like the smoke does kind of linger, and like again, it leaves almost like this chocolatey sensation. You wouldn't think that this would be a dessert beer, but I think that a really interesting experiment would be to try any smoke beer really with like any kind of dessert, like even just like plain cheesecake or something. So let's see what the specs say for mouthfeel. Medium body, medium to medium high carbonation, smooth lager character, significant astringent phenolic harshness is inappropriate. Okay. So, I said medium carbonation, then maybe medium low. So it was definitely on there. I mean, it doesn't come off as flat at all. It just comes off as like not bombastic in the mouth. I'm going to go 4 out of 5 because I did, hedge a little and I said, maybe it's medium low. Overall impression, I mean, to me, this is, I would have no qualms about giving it the perfect 50, but I will give it a 9 out of 10. So that gives us a final score of 43. Which to me that actually seems a little low. Let's see. I mean, I said for the aroma I'd have no problem bumping it up. Let's bump that up to an 11. Let's bump the flavor up to an 8. To give us a 45, right? Yeah. I would call that classic example. As far as brewing, technical merit, let me switch the, here we go. Would you call this flawless? Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. So, I mean, I need another judge here to discuss this. The whole, like, you don't judge just by yourself. You got to bounce your opinion off somebody else. All right, so I got a total score of 45 out of 50 on this one, but I would have no, if I was judging with somebody else and give it a 49, I could definitely meet them. I could go as high as 50. In fact, I thought 43 was a little low. I think that this is one of the listed commercial examples of the style. So, the specs are written around this and the other 5 beers. So, it's not like this brewery doesn't know what they're doing. The specs are written based on what they're doing or something like that. So, all right. So I'm going to wrap it up there. If you watch all the way in, you're awesome. Hey, my thumb is back to normal. All right. I will see you guys next Tuesday. All right. Have a good week. All right. Bye.
Somebody brewed it. Chad just reviewed it. Thanks for watching Chad's Beer Review.
Trust me, the next episode will be a lot better.